Dan Bernstein Unfiltered. Unfiltered on 312 Sports.
It's Dan Bernstein Unfiltered. I'm Dan Bernstein. That's Matt Abaticola. The Chicago Bears are 8-3, and they've got a short turnaround facing a grumbling Philadelphia Eagles team. I don't know if you stayed up to, or stuck around, I should say, to watch the end of that game, because a lot of people bailed. A lot of people would say, all right, 21-0, but the Dallas Cowboys stormed back, and it shows you to beat this Eagles team, you've got to rush the passer. You got to rush the passer. And the Cowboys have some guys who can do that.
Mm-hmm.
They have a couple of dangerous guys up front. But now the Bears are going to be facing a pretty unhappy Philly team. We'll get to that. The story of this season at 8-3. The story, and somebody mentioned, and I don't know where I saw this, that was the original 6-7.
Oh.
The whole 83 bit was really the original version of 6-7.
Did you see that Domino's has a new promotion? It's like 6-7.
That real?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't think it was real.
Oh, maybe it's not.
Somebody sent it around saying, "Oh, look at what
Domino's
I got
it sent to me. Maybe it's not.
I don't know if it's real. I don't know. If
I'm
it's
going to believe that it is because I love it. So
because
my kids hate it.
But now the Bears are 8-3, and the job Ben Johnson is doing is the story. What Ben Johnson is doing with this team is the story. Don't lose sight of that, regardless of what happens now. Table for a moment the debate about the quality of the Bears, because you don't know, I don't know how good they really are at 8-3. This run of quarterbacks that they're on right now is pretty incredible. Brad Biggs did a really good job of cataloging this run that they're on, the likes of which we've never seen before. Anything quite like this. 5 of the last 6 quarterbacks the Bears have gone against don't have 20 career starts. Mason Rudolph is the second most experienced. This is the run that they're on. Spencer Rattler, 13th career start. Tyler Huntley, 15th. Joe Flacco, obviously, 198th. Jackson Dart, 7th. J.J. McCarthy, 5th. God, he sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God, is J.J. McCarthy bad. He's bad.
He's real bad.
He's bad. They're like, get him out of here, move on bad. I mean, the crazy takes about J.J. McCarthy. And then Mason Rudolph in his 19th career start. Dart's a rookie. McCarthy, Rattler, second seasons. But table that for a second, all of that. Not long ago in this space, right here, this microphone, this room, we were talking at the Bears 0-2 saying, wait a second here. Remember what I told you the term was that I heard talking to people around the team and talking to people close to the situation, reminding us, going out of their way to tell people like us what the real story was. Remember what I said? A rebuild of a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that?
Yep.
It wasn't all that long ago.
No.
That I was sitting right here saying, don't lose sight of the fact that this is a rebuild of a rebuild. These aren't his guys. I'm not even talking about how far they are down the depth chart. This isn't his roster. This is Ben Johnson walking in the door saying, what do I have? What's here? What do I have? All right, we got a long way to go to teach this. This is that we are just more than halfway through season 1. And the fact that they're 8-3 and they still don't quite get the whole thing yet. Like, this is, when he says we'll be playing our best football in December.
Yep.
He said that over and over again. And they might, but that gets eroded by injuries. That's just a natural fact. The attrition and erosion of injuries, the gravity of injuries is undefeated. That happens to everyone. So I'm using that and using that to balance everything we're talking about here. And they still might. There might be evidence of them playing, by his definition, their best football by December. But what he's doing with this game to game, the way he's calling it, even though they have a negative point differential, which is astonishing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, of course. Well, it's just if you take away that one game against the Lions, that's not how it works. That's what point differential is. That's the point of it. That you can push back and say, well, it's only that one game. Right, but when you're not also winning games by a ton, that one game is magnified more. That's just math. Don't get mad at math. It's not even math. It's just addition. It's just adding up the numbers in the columns. And to be 8-3, I think is with a negative point differential is a pretty good coaching job that's being done here. That to me is the story. I think the Bears hired the right guy. I don't know what's going to happen with the remainder of this year. I don't know. I don't know if these next few games are going to be a huge come-to-Jesus meeting about the quality of the team. I don't know if they're going to get either knocked out in the playoffs or what's going to happen. But I know the one thing that I can bank from the evidence we have is Ben Johnson can really coach.
Yeah, that is the story of 2025.
This
is the Ben Johnson factor. This is what it's like when you have a head coach, an NFL quality head coach, and one of the top 5 offensive play callers in the game. And I'm going to go back to real quick to you. Talk about this not being his roster. What we saw yesterday, and we've talked about this, on the offensive side of the football, it's not too far off from what his roster is going to be. It's not. And they've had the good fortune of being healthy, offensively speaking, not on the defensive side, but offensively speaking, they've been very healthy. And they opened yesterday in the 12 personnel. And that's pretty much what you're going to see, with maybe question marks at running back and left tackle. Outside of that, you have your 2 tight ends. You have your 2 wide receivers. You have your quarterback. You have most of your offensive line with a question mark at left tackle, and who's your running back? This is your roster with Ben Johnson offensively moving forward.
I was thinking about it yesterday, that if Trapillo in for Benedict is a fast forwarding, and here's your look, and I'm wondering if they weren't, as Johnson's talking to Dan Rochar and they're breaking down the film today, if they aren't looking across left to right and saying, all right, okay, next few years, this is it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible. We saw the starting offensive line, barring injury, for the next several years.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I was thinking.
And you have your 2 tight ends, you have your 2 wide receivers, you have your quarterback.
I'm not sure about the wide receivers. I'm not
sure.
I
mean, I'm talking about, if you're looking at 12 personnel, I'm looking at Rome and Luther.
Okay.
Rome and Luther, your 2 tight ends, your offensive line, maybe Trapillo, maybe someone else, maybe Benedict. You have your quarterback, and you have your running backs right now. But, and yesterday, Kyle Monangai got more of the snaps than DeAndre Swift. But this is what it looks like moving forward.
Just remember where we were, and we've got a ton to do on Forward Progress today, and we will.
Yes.
But I just really want you to remember where we were after 2 games, talking about the job that Johnson had in front of him. And I'm willing to bet that he's going to tell you that this record is way ahead of schedule. We all know it. Everybody knows it. Everybody looking around the league, and you watch a lot of games, and you can be hooray for everything, and there's a lot of that, and that's great. I don't think that understanding that takes away from happiness. I don't think that you have to be a drooling, pom-pom waving fanboy all the time. I think you can, after winning, you look at the record, and nothing against that level of excitement. That's there. But understanding where this fits in the larger picture of trying to win a Super Bowl, it's okay to know that they're ahead of schedule. It's okay to know that this is an inflated record right now, which is why going into Friday, I don't care about the outcome Friday. I think the Bears are a 7-point dog right now. It's about right, considering they've got no linebackers, and Philly's coming off this loss is going to be wound up.
Yep.
You can survive whatever initial onslaught is coming and make a game out of it. All I care about Friday is the quality of the Bears' play. I don't care. You're gonna lose games. The Bears aren't gonna go undefeated the rest of the year.
Correct.
They're gonna lose games. This is not a must-win by any stretch, but this is, if you are excited about everything that they're doing, Friday is a must-play well. Represent yourself well, carry yourself well, and compete.
Well, I saw some comments towards the show talking about how Friday's game is like the first real test of the season. I disagree with that because you've had 3 division games already, and you let J.J. McCarthy steal one. You almost let him steal a second one, and then you got just completely hammered by the Lions. So this is the 4th really important test, and so far you're 1-2 in those games, and you're going into Philadelphia, who just lost a divisional game while leading 21-0, losing to the Cowboys, who are fighting to keep their playoff hopes alive at 5-1. Needed that win, and they got it at home over the Eagles. The Eagles are going to be pissed off and ready to go on Friday. On a short week, they will be ready to go and take it to the Bears. I want to see the Bears perform well. Now, yeah, I want them to win, and I'm not going to go out and say that the outcome to me doesn't matter because it does matter, but they need to perform well, starting with Caleb Williams on down.
I think it's also important to understand, and the point of why I'm bringing up the larger picture here is to give a sense of what's really going on here. And that comes down to Caleb Williams. It comes down to what he's learning and how he's learning it and what this offense is and what it isn't. About the downfield nature of these shots that Ben Johnson wants to take. What the way teams are defending the Bears. When this is popping, when this is working, there's big chunks of yards that are there. And the fact that it's not even working all that well yet, and it's a big boy offense, that these don't look like Bears games now. First game did, second game was just bad. Mm-hmm. But what we're seeing Ben Johnson do over time as he's trying to figure out his roster and his guys, this is an offense that takes shots, that is looking for big plays down the field and isn't going to dink and dunk, that isn't a game management kind of offense.
No, it's an attacking offense.
It is an attacking offense. And even in the fits and starts, even in these head-scratching passes, there at least I'm getting a picture now. I'm starting to understand a little bit better the high risk tolerance that they have for some things here and what it's going to take for them to get the gears meshing better of everything that they're doing. And with every data point we have on Caleb Williams, there's a way of also not getting bogged down in detail to detail because of the big play nature and because of what you're going to have to live with sometimes as he's learning to see what Ben Johnson sees when he sees it. We called this, and rightly so, a rebuild of a rebuild, and they're already here. It's not perfect, but I'm giving this coach a lot of leeway because he's proven to me that he is seeing what we're seeing. He knows exactly where the growth has to occur, but they're winning while a lot of growing pains are happening, and that's a sign of how hard they're playing. It is also a sign of taking advantage of lesser opponents. It's true, and it's okay. It's okay. You can say that. You can say that, which is why I also think that Johnson knows the Lions' den they're going into this week. He understands it. And I'm fascinated to look at their readiness to play. I'm fascinated to look at this resiliency that is their identity, this ability to find ways to win that is their identity. If you can do it this week, if you can just play well, it might not end up all right, and the ball's going to bounce weird, and things are going to happen. But even amid all that, the through line on this is really positive.
Right, and this is a byproduct of Ben Johnson being the head coach and the preparation and the game planning and the scheming and the study and the work.
And the belief.
And the belief, 100%. And one thing that I want to say about Caleb Williams that I absolutely love about this kid is he is completely unfazed by failure and mistakes. And that is something you cannot teach. I don't care how gifted you are as an athlete. You cannot teach that. You have it or you don't. And he is able, like wearing a raincoat to let raindrops just roll right off his back, be able to take mistakes and failure and bad drives and bad passes and put them away and move on. And that is a great skill to have. And again, not something you can teach, and which is also why they're 8-3 on this year. So I'm not going to take away any of what Caleb Williams has done with some of the unbelievable passes, with the exceptional talent and potential that he has. I'm not going to overshadow the mistakes, the bad passes, the misses, the things he's not seeing that I think after 28 games in the league, he should be seeing.
You know what I like too is when DJ Moore had that really stupid penalty for taunting.
Really dumb.
When he flipped the ball, it didn't stop him.
No,
it didn't. It wasn't like, well, I guess that's that, and here we are being stupid again. And that's why DJ Moore was told by Ben Johnson, fix your body language.
Right.
Stop moping out there.
Yeah, I get it, and he's a competitor, and I'm sure if I played in the NFL, I would do dumber things than DJ Moore did throwing a ball. I'd get pissed off and lose focus on it. But come on, dude,
you got to know better.
You got to. I mean, you're the veteran wide receiver on this team. You have to know better there.
But it didn't stop him, and he was the guy that caught the touchdown pass.
Yeah,
on that drive, that he gets a 14-yard taunt or 14-yard reception for Roma Dunze. There's a taunting penalty. They get to Swift for 14. That was the screen pass on 2nd and 20. And it was 3rd and 6 that ends up with that touchdown on the coverage bust. And old Bears teams that we knew,
that wouldn't have happened.
Where something like that would have happened, and it would just been like, all right, well, I guess.
But here's the thing, though, too. They've grown throughout this season too, because we've seen things like that this year where they stack mistakes on top of mistakes. They overcame it this time, which is great. And I want to know if, and I'm looking forward to hearing Ben Johnson talk today, if that coverage and that busted coverage led to that touchdown pass was something they were hunting. Was that something they were looking for?
That's a great question. That's a great question, because it might look like a bust, but it also might be something for which they were waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to see if that does come up. And, and if it was awesome, and if not, great, whatever, still an awesome play.
Or just recognizing it.
Right.
I'm trying to keep this overachievement so far, and that's a good thing. Overachieving is not an insult. It's a compliment. I'm trying to keep the overachievement of this team in perspective that says, what can this year mean? What can the fact that they are at 8-3? How, I guess the way to phrase it is this. How does this opportunistic overachievement, how can they make it more likely that they win a Super Bowl? Whether it's this year, next year, the year after that. How it's great to be in this position, but what I keep beating myself up trying to figure out, rather than just marching down the street and waving pom-poms for everybody and doing cartwheels, is how can the fact that they're early, don't waste it. How can it matter? How can the record and the early overachievement be important? Rather than just saying hooray, and that's great. Say hooray. Be happy. Love it. Do whatever you want. Take your pants off and run down the street waving them over your head. Please do that. And you don't need my permission to do it. But I can do that on occasion too. I also want to know how the fact that they're here can be an advantage later. What does this allow you to do now that maybe you wouldn't have been able to do before? Because in a losing year, or in a year that maybe you're playing this guy instead of that guy. But you know what? They're all out there. The rest of the guys are hurt. I said play Shamar Turner more. You can't play him. Ozzie Trevillo got in the game because he got in the game. But that's a good thing. He had a good game, and you're trying to fill out your practice squad with guys now on the other side of the ball. Deshaun Wright has found money in your pocket. It's a $20 bill you find in your jeans that you get that guy. The way some of these people are playing, fantastic. Also, good coaching. But how do you make the fact that you're early to success? What's the advantage in that is my question.
All right, listen, and I want to get into it in greater detail in forward progress as we dive deeper into that game, and then the big picture too is where I want to go. But I'm gonna answer it right off the top of my head. There is no advantage that you can create by being 8-3 right now. But the question is, and you asked before, how can you make this 8-3 season so far matter?
How can you make this make you more likely to be the champion you want to be?
Okay, and we'll talk about that in forward progress.
Okay.
But one thing I do want to say, because it's not about 8-3, and one thing that you can make this matter are the reps. And you can get value towards your future by going 1-15 or 1-16, or you can get value for your future by going 10-7. It's the game reps that matter. That's what's valuable right now. But more specifically, how can they make this 8-3 season matter today? That's the question. That's the big picture for 2025.
I gave you another DBU Picks winner with the DeAndre Swift receiving yards over. Also with the Miami Heat with the points.
Yeah, they won by 97.
Yeah, that was not pretty.
Yeah.
And at the end of today's episode, we're going to have more DBU Picks for all the action tonight. I got a question. What does my guy Nahshon Wright have to do to get a game ball?
I don't know, dude.
Okay. What does he have to do to get a game ball?
Maybe he needs to not let a offensive player knock an interception out of his hands.
Wait.
Because it's happened twice now.
Okay.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the standard.
The guy's tied for the NFL lead.
Makes another beautiful interception. A one-handed.
My God.
Unbelievable.
Are you never in your life going to see an interception like that?
He's like go-go gadget. His arm just stretches and stretches and stretches.
I said that with the last interception that he made on the underthrow in the corner of the end zone. But what does he have to do? It's not like Kevin Warren ran in and took it from him this time. But DeMarco Jackson had a nice game. You know, they were testing him early. If you noticed what Pittsburgh was doing with them, all that side-to-side stuff, as we talked about in the postgame yesterday, making them pursue, testing their eyes, making them choose gaps and pick pursuit angles. And eventually the Bears figured all that out, and it was clear that they were told, hey, here's what's being done to you. And the defense... Yeah, if some of these linebackers coming up making all those tackles, awesome. And Bamiga and DeMarco Jackson did that. But my God, Nahshon Wright was great in the run game too.
Yes, he had an exceptional game overall.
He was terrific crashing down in the run game. And that pick is going to be on every highlight film. That's a career highlight.
I mean, remember, this is a Vikings practice squad guy that came in for just over $1 million in 1 year. This dude is writing himself a contract for the future. And he's playing unbelievably well.
I don't know what he's got to do.
To get a game ball.
To get the poor guy. Give the man. It is my mission in life. All I want. I feel like that's my game ball now. I want to see, and then you do your good, better, best, and the whole thing.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna say after last week's conversation about it and what happened to him on a personal level and the game that he had, I'm going to say. When
he's mourning the death of his coach and all that. Here's Kevin Ward. Okay, here's your ball. Get out of here.
I'm going to say that privately the Bears did that for Nahshon Wright last week. That's what I'm going to hold on to.
You think so?
And that's what I'm going to hold on to. I can't see what I've learned of Ben Johnson this year. I can't see him letting that opportunity slip by.
Missing it this badly?
Yeah, I just can't. And I think last week, they took care of him in a private way. And maybe at his own request that I just don't want to be front and center.
I don't know.
I can't handle it this week. And I'm just going to go with the fact that they did it privately last week. And can I share one other NFL note before you move on?
Yeah, but let me just say this.
Yeah, wrap it up.
I would ask, and we're not in on the Ben Johnson Monday press conference that they usually do via Zoom.
Yeah.
I would simply ask it that way. Ben, what does Nahshon Wright have to do to get a game ball? Because I think he'd answer it in good spirits.
Yeah.
I think we'd get a really good answer if you phrased the question exactly that way. If we had a reporter, I would be texting our reporter right now.
Please ask this question.
Please just say, yes, whoever it is, Gern Blanston, 312 Sports. Hey,
did we hire him?
Gern?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
When we do flesh this out, and if indeed, because I've been going to Bulls games and trying to ask questions at Bulls games.
Can you ask Billy Donovan? Why Nahshon Wright's not getting a game ball?
Billy. Why can't Deshaun Wright of the Bears get a game ball? What does he have to? Now the question: what does he have to do to get a game ball? 2 weeks in a row, the guy's made ridiculous. He has 2 of the top 5 NFL interceptions of the season, probably. Yeah. Not to mention the pick 6 he had in the opener. And I don't think he's that great either. I think he's probably a third corner. I don't know if he's a starting corner in the league.
Dude's playing like a starter now.
Dude is playing like a Pro Bowler. He's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, oh, no, for sure.
He's an absolute...
As of right now, 11 games in for the Bears.
He is a Pro Bowl player. He is there. He's going wherever they go. I don't even know if they have the Pro Bowl anymore.
He's going wherever his buddy goes.
I think his buddy. I think they sit around and they play video games now instead of a Pro Bowl. But I don't know. Tell me what I can do. What can I do to help Deshaun Wright get a game ball?
I think just keep getting the message out there, Dan.
That's what I'm going to do.
Maybe it'll get to Hallis Hall, and just they'll wrap it up.
Bang the drums and fan the flames and do everything I have to do.
One other game I want to mention from yesterday before we wrap up NFL stuff. Again, we'll have more NFL and Bears talk on Forward Progress today. The Cleveland Browns beat the Raiders 24-10.
God, the Raiders are horseshit,
and
too.
Remember, my pick was take the Raiders -4. They're at home. They're playing Shedeur Sanders in his first start.
Looked okay.
And they lose 24-10. Sanders goes 11 for 20, 209 yards, 55% completion percentage, averaged almost 11 yards completion, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 1 time, a rating of 87. So obviously he gave you a bad pick there on the Raiders. But one other area why I was keeping an eye on that game was Myles Garrett. And we talked about Myles Garrett and the fact that he's on pace to break the single-season sack record.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he had yesterday?
No.
3. He's at 18 now.
Well, that's what Montez Sweat should have had. I don't know what happened on that third one. I don't think he knows either.
He's like old stiff legs sometimes, man.
Oh, not like Javon Dexter was.
Oh, yeah. The vanishing ball. But Myles Garrett now has 18 sacks on the season.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, watch it. And then he still has the Titans on his schedule, which is they've given him the most sacks in the NFL. I'm telling you, he might get 5 that game.
Are they going to make Myles Garrett an honorary member of the All-American Watt family?
Oh, God. That was something.
Parents are at the game. They have another brother. Here's Larry.
That was something, man. I get it. JJ's doing the game, but man, it was a lot.
Yeah, a lot of. Here's former Secretary of the Interior James Watt. Hello. Yes, and let's not forget the distant relative, longtime Seattle SuperSonics point guard Slick Watts. Hey, buddy. Also a member of the family. Yeah, are you sure? Yeah. Well, we didn't talk about that, but. Bottom line, to put a bow on some of this football discussion, what Ben Johnson is doing with this team is remarkable. And I hope that the short-term sort of this calorie rush, the sugar rush that we're getting from the fact that they're 8-3 doesn't take our eyes off the seeds of better things that are being cultivated as all of this is happening. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
I think that's all I'm trying to say. And my windows are coming. They called the other day. They are just finishing up the painting on, and thankfully Russ called to confirm. It's like, hey, those ones in front, we don't want them white, right? We want them to match. I was like, man, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to go outside and look.
He's finishing up a painting of you.
Is that what it's going to be?
Doesn't Russ do a portrait of all of his customers?
Well, he certainly should. And he should have it behind him at his desk. Big picture of me behind Russ's resolute desk. But Russ Armstrong is the owner of Chicago Window, guys. And he will treat you exactly like he's treating this order for the windows at my house. Because what he does is he comes out and he will explain to you what the deal is. And you'll say, well, look, I talked to these people and they said this price. And he'll say, oh, okay, well, for that, the price of me will be this. And he will match. I mean, anytime you hear these buy one, get one free or 50% off stuff, he's going to explain what the real math is on good windows and how it works. And then you'll say, oh, and then you're going to want to work with Russ. So call 847-302-9171 and check out his 5-star reviews at ChicagoWindowGuys.com. And know that these are all his people. I was working his guy Camille. It does the measuring, and he texted me, and he's like, I'll be there in 20 minutes. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'll be there in 5 minutes. And then he came in, and then afterwards he's like, hey, let's just make sure the colors on these, and they work with you to make sure it's exactly what you want. He makes the windows windows himself at his factory here in Chicago. And then everything is installed. It doesn't take all that long because he's done stuff in my house before. And like I say, he knows everybody in and around your house, and it gives you a lot of peace of mind. Don't forget the lifetime guarantee with parts and labor. So if your windows are old, cracked, falling apart, or just broken, or you're hearing the heat kick on all the time and you're tired of that, Russ at Chicago Window Guys has you covered. So call him right now, 847-302-9171, ChicagoWindowGuys.com. It's going to be the Bulls and the Pelicans tonight, and you talk about a team that's got to start playing better. Boy, this weekend was the Ring of Honor weekend, and there are a lot of people in town, and you heard all sorts of nice things said. And I want to say some nice things, too, that, hearing Neil Funk messing around with those guys was kind of nice, and to hear Neil in the good spirits that he's in is really good. I was a huge fan of Bill Cartwright, and he was very helpful to me when he was an assistant coach, and I was on the Bulls beat. And Bill would always take time to answer good questions really thoughtfully. I love talking to him before games. And Bill was the kind of guy where I would show him my notebook. And I'd sit down next to him, right there on the bench.
And he's like, what's wrong with you?
Well, no, he would say, and I'd say, Bill, what was this play that they ran, and why did you have trouble defending it? And he'd take my notebook, and he'd put his glasses on, and he'd start drawing. He'd say, look, he'd say, you don't quite have the angle of this screen right. And here's why. Here's how we would show this play to them. And it helped me. Oh, and he would teach. And then you heard that in what was being said when they were talking about Bill Cartwright. They called him teach. They called him teacher because that young team needed him to explain a championship standard. They needed an old guy who'd been through it to say, this isn't good enough. You need to do this, like this, or this is a test, or you got to stand up to this guy. And sometimes he would take it upon himself on the back line of that defense. And he did it in his own way with tremendous physical toughness, but a quiet gravity about him, a gravitas about him that engendered a lot of respect. And it really did matter to that team. And they will tell you how much it mattered to that team. And to trade Charles Oakley, that move by Jerry Krause to trade Jordan's favorite guy, his bodyguard, his guy was Oakley. And that was a ballsy trade that was enormously important in getting the Bulls where they had to go. And Norm Van Leer, of course, we know our old buddy Norm, who I wanted him honored the first time around in the Ring of Honor, and I'm very, very pleased that he was included again. And Pax, a great player, and regardless of what you think about his tenure, the 17 years that he had in charge of the team, his devotion to the Chicago Bulls has never wavered, nor has his level of class. And you can say all you want about his drafting or anything, but you can't take away the fact that he's always carried himself as a proud representative of the organization.
Yeah, when I was living in the city and I was in the Gold Coast, I would run into Norm on a consistent basis on Sundays at Paisanos. No, this is like Sunday brunch. He's coming from church, and he was always sitting at the bar. And I'd walk in there, get some food, get some beers, and just sit down next to him and start talking to him. And he was always real generous and gracious with his time. Some idiot from radio that he didn't have to talk to, but he talked to. And it was great. He was so kind. And then John Paxson, I don't know if I told you this, but was it 1993? I had my buddy and I were doing radio in college when I was down here at Moody, and we talked to the program director of 90.1 to give us media credentials. Yeah, because we wanted to go to Hallis Hall, we wanted to go to the Berto Center, because we wanted to geek out over the players, and we convinced him that we would go and talk to Christian athletes that were coming into town and get sound bites that they could use on 90.1. And the first time,
we should add Christian athlete to the team too.
Oh yeah, he's done.
Put
on
him
there.
Down there. Okay.
He'll go with less fishing and Vito Session. And
what about somebody mentioned that I said less child friendly? Would you keep him away from schools?
Yes. Yeah. But the first time I went to the Berto Center, and we had no right being there, no right talking to these guys, and there's two guys that I'll never forget that spent more time with me and my buddy Craig then they went like above and beyond, doesn't even come close to it. And one of those guys was John Paxson, and the other one was Stacey King. And they took pictures with us, which was completely like wrong to do, being there under media credentials. But they spent about 20 minutes each with us separately, just talking. And they could not, and it wasn't even all about basketball, just could not have been nicer guys. And the John Paxson thing will always stand out to me about the kind of person that he was to two young college idiots.
Yeah, that's who he
that
is.
He had no reason to spend that much time with.
Yeah, like another guy, when Pax was an assistant coach, one of his jobs was to write the opposing plays on the whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd always, especially in the playoffs, in these hard-fought chess games, when you'd be in the game 4 and everybody's running the same stuff, and this was in the finals actually against Seattle, and he was drawing a play. It was a Gary Payton little duck in where they got consecutive buckets off of in a third quarter at Key Arena. And there was nobody else in there. A couple of people, good camera people. It was really early, and Pax is writing it there. And I just said, underline that one. And he kind of looks at me and goes, why? He's testing me. I said, and I held up my notebook. I said, because they got 2 in a row off that in the third. And he didn't defend it either time. He just starts laughing. And then I said, okay, well, no, what are you going to tell him about that? Like what? He goes, well, the big's got to come off and help. He said, the moment you see that setting up, you got to jam the cutter, and then you're going to screw up the timing of the play if you push him off the cut, back when you could do a lot of that stuff very differently. And he said also, the big's just got to help, and then they're going to turn it out, and then they'll get back in. I was like, oh, okay.
No, you covered both sports, football and basketball, like very much in depth. Was that just the culture of basketball guys?
Oh, always.
To always be like that? Because it's not like that with all football, but it's generally the case, really, overall for basketball.
Still is, because you can't hide in basketball. Mm-hmm. There's no secrets. There's no, you don't wait all week.
I know, but there's no reason for a guy to sit down and do that and talk like that.
I don't know.
Which I think they do pretty consistently.
Basketball coaches like to talk.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Where football
coaches generally don't. No, really, it's a cultural thing.
Yeah,
basketball coaches love talking. Seriously, Billy Donovan would sit there and do 40 minutes of postgame because he's just talking about the team. And basketball coaches they always want to talk about what their team can't do, not what it can. They always want to say, "Hey, guy, awesome, you're 9-3. Yeah, we can't rebound." Always. It's the nature of it. I also want to mention while we're doing this, Horace Grant, and it's amazing to me, for those of us who lived through the end of Horace Grant's Bulls run and the Blue Flu and all of the stuff going on with Reinsdorf and Horace on the Magic pumping his fist, knocking the Bulls out. I can't believe that everybody is back there and he's getting his just due. And it just shows you how the organization doesn't hold grudges. Mm-hmm. Very far from it in a lot of ways. That there was, people don't remember how much bad blood there was with Horace Grant and how persona non grata he was. The fact that he's back here is pretty amazing. And boy, Johnny Bach, Terry's got Johnny Bach stories. My favorite aspect of John Bach is you'd always see the 2 old guys next to Phil. John Bach and Tex Winter.
Yep.
One guy wore Western gear. One guy always had the Western cut suits, bolo ties. But like when I say, where the back had that extra,
there's the stitches and the
stitching
on the shoulder
thing,
as well.
Yes. Yeah. However, that wasn't Tex.
It was John Bach.
Right.
Yes.
But one guy's named is Tex.
Right.
One guy's Tex Winter. The other guy is wearing Western gear.
So here's John, here's Tex. Who dresses like a cowboy?
Exactly.
John does.
Which one's wearing the bolo tie?
Right.
It's not Tex.
Yeah.
I just was always tickled by that.
Yeah, no, it's good.
That was one of my, but he instilled that kind of attacking defensive identity in some of the guys out there. A lot of it was beyond tactical. I know he sort of got praised as like this great tactic. He was not what I would consider a brilliant basketball tactician, or Tex was. That Johnny Bach was a motivator and a guy who was able to take whatever toughness, whatever identity the Bulls wanted to have on offense and say, bring that defensively and it'll translate.
And
And to sell that to Mike and to help them understand where the tip of the spear was in a lot of their defense was really important to them.
Wasn't Tex the X and O guy?
Triple post offense.
Yeah. And then Phil was more of a work your brain kind of cultural type guy.
Yeah, but Phil also should. I mean, this is probably for another time. But Phil should get more credit as a technician and a tactician. He always had a reputation for running a really good practice, for really being able to just put it in his head. He didn't have to. He never had a sheet in front of him
or anything,
of what we're doing next. But he would know that this has been 10 minutes, this has been 9 minutes. That he could really, for an NBA team, run an efficient, tight practice where people listened. I know it was all about reading. They didn't read those books.
No.
They did all the
gambling,
all the Zen stuff,
and
which is why Van Gundy was right when he would always kind of do the hand job metric for the beat off for Big Chief Triangle. He hated that, and I totally get it because he was right. Because the reputation of we're gonna talk about
sit around and meditate,
the Lakota and all of these things, and the players would just be like, if they had phones, they would have been on their phones, but they didn't have them.
One of the highlights of my radio time was we had Phil in studio when his book came out.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Do you remember what I asked him?
No, I don't know. I was geeking out with him there.
I was so excited to ask him this question. Have you ever lost a well officiated game?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Do you ever what he said? And then he
left the studio.
No, because he gave me a look. He's like, "You fucker," and then he paused, and I always got along fine with Phil, and he said something like, to the extent that any game can be well officiated. Basically, his point is all officiating sucks. Yeah. That they just can't officiate.
Well, of course.
Now, I do have another Bulls point to get to. A lot of the stuff we're saying about the Bears, about understanding who you are and understanding what your record means and understanding that just because you won the game, it doesn't mean you're good, because there's always going to be tougher tests down the road. And it takes, like I was saying with Cartwright, it takes somebody in your locker room, other than your coach, to remind you of that. The Bulls got stomped by the Heat, embarrassed by the Heat. They got their ass kicked by a team that has their number. And then, okay, great. Here's Ring of Honor night. Here come the lowly Wizards, who have one win, right, on the season? I believe they've won one game.
That is correct.
The Bulls should have lost to the Wizards.
1-15, yep.
The Bulls should have lost to them. And they didn't. They won the game because Vooch hit a three. And everybody's going, "Oh, the Bulls win, Bulls win." But there's one guy who was not having it. And this is courtesy of CHSN. I want you to hear, this is Casey Johnson pulling Nikola Vucevic aside after the game. And I think you'll hear it in here. You'll hear when Modest Buzelis jumps on his back, and then Jalen Smith comes over and starts clowning with him. And Vooch had something to say. And this went on and on and on. We're only going to play like 30 seconds of it, right? Yeah. But this is what happened after the game.
Vooch, you guys saved your best for last. What changed in that fourth quarter?
We finally started playing, for 3 quarters, whatever. We were very soft, no resistance. Move, man. We gave no resistance.
Come on, be happy, man.
We gave no resistance. We didn't do anything that we talked about. Just play really soft. It was really bad. And then we played a little bit in the fourth, but obviously we're happy we won. But it's we can't keep doing this. It's not sustainable. We have to be better.
So
okay, now when you heard,
if you haven't seen it,
when he says move, he's talking to Modest. Like get out of the shot. Stop your clowning. And then you hear Jalen Smith say, "Come on, be happy, man."
Yeah. So the pause in there too is Jalen Smith is chesting his shoulder.
Yeah.
He's like bumping into him while he's trying to do this interview.
Yep.
And so the pause in there, if you haven't seen the video, and we'll repost it on our socials, is Vooch walking away from the microphone. He takes a step out.
Yeah, he's like, okay, you want to be stupid?
Because he's it's not only not having any of it, he's pissed off.
And he's talking to them. He's trying to get a message across. And then he came back to KC and went on. It was like a diatribe against their quality of play.
Yeah.
And Wizards have some that Cam Whitmore can score a little bit. They got some fun guys. And that Vucevic, look out, because that's what the Bulls need. That's what the Bulls need. And I'm also told, well, we'll get to tonight's game also, because just listen to what he's saying. Listen to the idea of a championship standard. I don't know if he's going to be around. I don't know if they're going to trade Vooch for the deadline or what's going to happen, or if they're going to re-sign him to a one-year deal. But somebody other than the coach has got to say that to a team that is young and learning.
And we'll get into it again, and this circles back with the Bears as you brought it up too. For him, for Vooch, this isn't a season about development and growth.
He's 35.
He wants to win a championship. He's out there competing every night to win a championship. That's why he's there. He's not basking in the glory of hitting another three that won a game that you shouldn't have won. He's about winning a championship.
Mm-hmm.
That's what matters right now to him in this season.
What you do against the Bulls and what I think you're going to see the lowly Pelicans try to do.
You guys going tonight?
It's in New Orleans.
Oh, is it really?
I'd love to.
Oh, I thought you guys had talked about going.
Yeah, he's
okay. My bad.
Jay's home. He would definitely be.
Yeah, I thought for sure. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I can't wait because tomorrow we're going to be doing Organizations Win Championships with the two of us actually next to each other, which often has gotten physical.
Oh boy.
In the past, like during the podcast, he's trying to punch me, or I got like a wet willy at one point during the podcast, which I hate, and he knows I hate them.
So he should do them.
No, he shouldn't.
He should, as often as possible.
No, because now that he's coming off a concussion, I can't get too physical with him. If I jostle him too much.
Well, he has the Guardian cap on. He's fine.
He's going to have to put something on.
You need suits of armor for your whole family.
Don't.
I didn't.
I
didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
Okay.
You shush.
Thank you,
mister.
So here's how you beat the Bulls. It's a hockey forecheck. You forecheck against the Bulls. Dump and chase. The Bulls are a below the rim team. And the Bulls are a terrible defensive rebounding team. We used to see this a couple of years ago. The Raptors did this to them, where you put it up on the net. Just like in hockey, when you say put it on goal and everybody rush the net and get a rebound and get greasy goals because the goalie's going to lose his net, or they don't clear the puck out well. Forecheck against the Bulls. Pound the glass. And they don't know what to do. They're overwhelmed because they're too small and they're too below the rim. And especially with some of the injuries they've had, I didn't think they'd really miss Patrick Williams, but they kind of do, just to have a body down there, somebody who can jump up in the air and pull a rebound down. And I think Zion Williamson is going to play tonight. But that's what I would be telling him. I would be, even if the Bulls score, get it out of the net, run down the floor, go right at a guy, make him stop the ball. Those are two things. Make them stop the ball, because sometimes they don't resist and they just let you go with the ball. So make them stop the ball, and as soon as that shot goes up, everybody get down there. Everybody get above the rim, reach for the ball, get it, and stick it back in and draw a foul. Because until they figure that out, sometimes when they're boxing out, it almost looks like they've been playing zone, which is usually really hard to clear the defensive glass often when you're coming out of a zone. But the Bulls don't, and they're still having some difficulty here. But you shouldn't lose to the Pelicans. I mean, I know they're going to win more than their two. I think they've won 2 games. Bulls are a much better team, but Zion is coming back, and in DBU Picks, I may have something for you there to give you a little bit of an opportunity.
There's still a top 10 defensive rebounding team. Statistically, the Wizards are 3 overall defensive rebounds per game.
Yeah, it's the offensive glass where the Bulls have just been getting other teams' offensive rebounding.
Got it.
So a lot of that is sort of by percentages here, where you got to make for some one and dones, because getting stops for the Bulls has been tough.
That's not a good look, right?
No, but
stopping your guy.
But they're fun. Like, it was a fun game.
Yeah, we talked about it. They moved the ball. It's a fun style of basketball to watch.
Good ball late, but because you're like, God, who's this guy? Who's that guy?
But I just love that
Vooch
got pissed, and
he should be.
Yeah.
He absolutely should be. And you forget it because it's such a party and it's such a circus there that goes on and everybody loves the win and it's dinner theater and everybody goes home happy, happy, happy. But you almost lost to fucking Wizards.
Right.
Yeah, I'm confident that we're going to have enough money to field a good team.
Well, some of it went to Phil Maton. Phil Maton. And I'm a little troubled that it's another former Astro veteran reliever because, correct me if I'm wrong, Hector Neris, bad.
Yes.
Right? Ryan Presley, bad.
Yes.
Okay. Well, they're going to the well again. I know he wasn't most recently on the Astros because he was with a couple of teams last year.
Rangers?
Yeah, I think it was Rangers and doesn't matter. He's here. And he's pretty good. And the numbers, I'm a little worried about some outlier numbers from last year, especially in the lack of hard contact. He did a great job last year avoiding hard contact and avoiding barrels. And I'm not sure where the sustainability is there in some of those numbers. That in 2023 with Houston, his barrel rate allowed was 7.2%. 2024, it was 7%. Last year, it dropped in half. Last year, it was at 3.6%. He only allowed 5 barrels in 137 contact events. And I'm not sure if that seems outliery to me. He doesn't throw very hard at all. He relies on a cutter 36% of the time, and his curveball usage went way up last year. In 2024, he used his curveball 29% of the time. That jumped up to 38% of the time, and that was at the expense of his slider. The slider percentage dropped off significantly. So the pitch mix is interesting. What the Cubs do with the pitch mix is interesting. And the fact that it's a 2-year deal with a likely work stoppage, you're going to need guys. And if this is where some of the money is going, that Jed's got a thing for these former Astros veteran relievers. And you had 2 that didn't work, and the gambler's fallacy is this will be the one that does. But Phil Maton is going to be a significant Cub from jump. And they'll obviously need more with Kittredge going back, because think about how much they relied on Kittredge down the stretch. And apparently that seems like kind of a rental deal they made, the way that
they borrowed him from the Orioles and then gave him back and got money. And it worked. No, I mean he was great. He was great in the playoffs. One thing I want to pay something off from last week that I pulled out, and something for you. Mm-hmm.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Before we go into DBU Picks, Tulane, your football team, ranked in the AP poll 22 right now.
Roll wave.
The head coach, Jon Sumrall, I've talked about him a lot on this show. This past weekend, they beat Temple 37-13.
Watched it.
I have comments from Jon Sumrall from last week that I never played for you. And I don't know if you heard this. I want you to hear this. So this is Jon Sumrall. This is prior to this past weekend's game against Temple.
Do you feel like your team is one of the top 25 teams in the country currently?
I don't know. I hadn't watched that many other people play. I watch us play, and I watch whoever getting ready to play. And then after that, I don't really know who else is out there. I mean, I'll just be very candid. There's some days I feel like we're one of the bottom 25 teams in the country watching us play. So, if we want to start feeling comfortable or casual about somebody wanting to vote us in the top 25 teams, there must be a lot of bad football going on if we're one of the top 25 teams. So, I mean, there must be some really bad football played right now in college football. So, I don't know. We're average. We're an average team. We get every 6 or 7 days, depending on the schedule of the week, to promote ourselves or embarrass ourselves. We've done that before. So we better get ready to play. I think I watched this practice today. I think we're average.
I love that guy.
I watched us practice today.
I think we're average.
Yeah. See, that's a basketball coach.
Oh, guys,
he's in the wrong sport.
It's so good.
He's coaching the wrong sport.
That's funny. I forgot to play that for you last week. I was dying.
I like I say, I love that about basketball coaches. Hey, man, how you doing? Our inbound plays are awful. I just said, how are you doing? Like you run into somebody.
Just can't wait to talk about how bad something is.
Something that's keeping them up at night.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's always a basketball coach.
But that's your guy, Jon Sumrall, head coach of Tulane.
Well, not for long.
Yeah, you're going somewhere else.
Yeah, I was waiting to see what Lane Kiffin does. Might see Cal fire their coach too.
Yeah,
there's
more openings. I'm telling you, I'm getting a phone call soon.
Hey, man, they're working their way down the list. It's like Bears linebackers.
Oh yeah,
eventually you're going to be out there.
I'm suiting up against the Eagles.
Dan Bernstein Unfiltered on 312 Sports.